Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is David Bianco. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Thriller release. This time we're talking about the SACD, and we're going to compare it to not only the vinyl that we had in a previous review, but also the original CD that came out. That's coming up next here on the Safe and Sound Texas Audio Excursion. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, thank you for taking the time to join me. So this is a follow-on to the Thriller review I did of the 40th anniversary MOFI release of the vinyl, the one step that came out. I recognized that I had ordered the SACD, but didn't see it come in, and apparently it was actually in the same box as the LP, which was uncovered by my beloved wife as I was in Europe. And so I got some time finally to take a listen. And so what I'm going to be doing is this SACD in all of its glory. It's a 2-channel SACD. It's also what's known as a hybrid, which means you can play it on a standard CD player. It'll play the CD layer, not the SACD DSD file, of course, but it is compatible at least. And then you will hear what basically MOFI has done with this. And on the SACD side, this, of course, is a DSD, but SACDs created are in a 1 times oversample or 64-bit method, whereas the DSD method used to get it onto vinyl was a 4x or 256 DSD oversampling. So theoretically, it gives you more accuracy on the transfer. But be that as it may, in this case, we have, of course, the comparison of the vinyl that's done. So I'm going to take a look at this compared to the original CD that I bought when this album came out. And so this album, when it came out, as I think some of us know on the back, it didn't give any production credits to Michael Jackson. Later releases showed on the cover a co-producer credit. So this one, being a first release, it doesn't have the co-producer credits to Michael Jackson. So it is, in fact, the first batch that came out. And so what I thought I would do is make that comparison. How does the SACD stack up to, in fact, the original CD? Well, SACD is going to definitely have the potential to give you a much higher sampling rate and a much more accurate detail of what's going on. But as I mentioned in my vinyl video, this is an album that had up to 196 tracks in the mix. So this was a very complicated process to make this record, a lot of sounds. There's a lot going on when you listen to this. So in that regard, it is in fact one that is more, although very detailed in that regard. The record itself was really a dance record. It was touted for the beat and for the groove and for that part of what Michael Jackson really focused on at the time after his release of Off the Wall. And of course, there are some ballads on here as well, which have a little more nuanced sound to them. And so you can pick up on sounds a lot better. But as I mentioned in the vinyl review, the danceability of the vinyl was not, to me, as strong as the OG vinyl. It felt a better beat, a better bass, whereas the MOFI was a little more accurate on some of the sounds if you really got into sitting down and getting discreet about the sounds. But again, that's a different experience than what you're really getting out of it when you listen to it as a dance record. Similarly, in the CD/SACD, we have a disc that is interesting because my subtitle to this would have to be that original CD was pretty darn good. I mean, pretty doggone good. I mean, I really was, in listening to this, I first listened to the SACD, and then I would listen to the same track on it from the CD. And I was amazed how good the CD held up against the SACD, which I didn't honestly really expect. Now, does the SACD have a little more precision? Yes. Does it have a little better nuance in some areas? Yes. But in some areas, it has a little bit of masking. The beginning of PYT, for example. The sound almost sounds a little muffled, as if maybe there was like a blanket over the speaker a bit, a thin one albeit, and that really didn't sound present on the compact disc that came out back in the 80s. So just interesting nuances. But my point is, if I was going to go take this in my car, and yes, I do have a CD player in the car, honestly, I would just grab the original CD and play that and really be satisfied. I don't think I'd need to hear the hybrid layer or the CD layer of the SACD. Because it really didn't give you that much. Now, if I had an SACD player in the car, maybe I'd put that on. Maybe I wouldn't, but I don't have one. I don't know that I even make one. But my point to you is, yes, the SACD does in fact give you a little better nuance. Now, there are some aspects in the vinyl that are even a little better. Of course, the sound volume difference between the SACD and the LP is pretty extreme. It's like 5 to 6 dB difference. So, playing them, side by side, you really have to crank the volume up on the album or down on the SACD, whichever way you want to put it, because this is a lot more powerful in its outputs. And it's even a tad more powerful than the CD, but not a lot. The CD is pretty strong as well in that regard. So what I would say is, again, if you really want the danceability of this, the CD, if you have it, is going to be plenty good. If you want a little better nuance on some of the songs, then the SACD is probably worth the $30. Again, $30 where the album's $100. So, you're looking at, over 3 times the difference. So, picking up the SACD for $30, you do get a little more nuance, and, you're getting it for, probably $20 or $25, I should say, more than picking this up used probably for $5 at a half price book or wherever you might go. So, I'm really, really surprised in some ways that I think the CD, now, again, I haven't put a meter on it and seen all of the expansion capability. I think the dynamic range is definitely a little better on the SACD. You can sense that a bit, but at the same time, because of the power of maybe a little compression on the original, it has that punch and that power that you really feel. So again, this really comes down to, are you looking for a dance experience or are you looking for an auditory experience? I think that really is, at the end of the day, some of the way you have to look at Thriller as an album and as a way of judging which of these methods of whether MOFI's conversion or the original is best. Either way, the mixing, the production, and the mastering were great in the original, and you can tell it. You really got your money's worth, and I think that it stands as a classic in that regard, and didn't gain as much from going audiophile as many albums do. So those are my thoughts. Love to hear your input if you have listened to them and thought of them and what you might have found. It's been great to share this with you. As always, if you would subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it greatly. And likes, thumbs ups are always appreciated, along with comments. Let me know what you think, and I will respond to you. So for now, as always, thanks for taking this audio excursion journey with me. This is David Bianco. Talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.